Mangwanani Mwalelepo Vanave Africa. Welcome to another edition of Africa Good Morning, where we are bringing you the news making headlines across Africa. My name is Aina Raiza Koyo, and alongside me, Ashwin Berry.
Yes, and today is Friday, but more importantly, we are in the holiday season. So it is apt that today is also Make a Gift Day. There's just something amazing about unwrapping a gift, wondering what's inside. Underneath the wrapping paper could be anything: a CD, a new headset from your favorite store, any one of a million things from a million stores. But what's really special is when you open up that paper and what's found inside is a tangible representation of the love and adoration the person giving the gift feels for you. Nothing says that like a handmade gift. And on Make a Gift Day, you get to be the one to share that love with the people you care about. You know, it's one thing to buy a gift.
Yeah.
It's another thing for someone to see that you put the
Effort in,
to create a gift. This is Make a Gift Day, and here's a clip on that.
Welcome back to Africa Good Morning. In our top stories, Ugandan troops cross into Congo to widen anti-ADF offensive. Hundreds of Ugandan soldiers in armored vehicles crossed the border into the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo on Wednesday, witnesses said, as part of a joint operation with Kinshasa. The Ugandan military started its deployment into Congo on Tuesday, having already launched air and artillery strikes against ADF targets from the Ugandan territory. The Ugandan Armed Forces said the raids had successfully hit their targets, with ground operation to follow that would hunt down terrorists. A Congolese military spokesperson said search and control operations were underway at the bombarded ADF locations. Historically, the ADF is a Ugandan rebel coalition. It was mostly comprised by Muslims opposed to Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni, who had led the country since 1986.
Sudan's Hamdok will quit if post-coup deal is not implemented. Sudanese Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok will quit if a political agreement he signed with the military last week is not implemented or fails to receive backing from political factions, a source close to him said on Wednesday. The takeover ended a 2019 power-sharing agreement between the military and political groups involved in toppling former leader Omar al-Bashir. Those groups have rejected the agreement, as have resistance committees that have organized a campaign of protests. The agreement lets Hamdok appoint a new technocratic cabinet and calls for the release of political detainees and investigations into crackdowns on protests in which medics say 43 people died. Hamdok has said he signed the agreement to stop bloodshed and preserve much-needed international financial support. On Wednesday, Hamdok issued a decree replacing most of a group of caretaker deputy ministers that had been installed by the military after the coup. The decree did not include the finance, federal rule, and information ministries.
Ethiopian government says it retook strings of towns from the Tigray forces. The Ethiopian government says its forces recaptured Shewa Robid, a town of some 220 kilometers from the capital Addis Ababa, which was claimed last week by fighters from the northern Tigray region. Government spokesperson Legis Tulu said on Wednesday Shewa Robert was among several small towns retaken by Ethiopia's army and regional forces loyal to Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, who last week announced he would head to the battlefield to lead a counter-offensive after the Tigrayan fighters threatened to march on Addis Ababa. The brutal conflict took a sharp turn about a month ago when Tigrayan forces claimed to have recaptured the strategic towns of Desi from Kombalcha, located on a key highway to Addis Ababa. In recent days, state media has broadcast the images of uninformed Abiy, who is a former military lieutenant colonel and a 2019 Nobel Peace Prize winner in what appeared to be the northeastern region of Afar.
Mozambique, concerted action required to fight terrorism. Mozambican Prime Minister Carlos Agostinho do Rosario on Wednesday declared that preventing and fighting against terrorism requires concerted actions and efforts between countries of the region, the continent, and the world. The involvement of SADC countries and of Rwanda in the fight against terrorism expresses the spirit of solidarity and mutual help, the ultimate goal of which is the defense of a noble cause, protecting and saving the lives of Mozambicans in the face of terrorist actions, the Prime Minister said. The sacrifices made by the Mozambican Defense and Security Forces and by their SADC and Rwandan allies is in defense of our national interest, Rosario continued. And this sacrifice has not been in vain. It is allowing us to put an end to the barbaric actions committed by the terrorists in their incursions. To fight effectively against crime, the government has been banking continually on strengthening the operational capacities of the institutions of law and order so that they may comply zealously with their mission to fight against all types of crime.
Nearly 150 COVID-19 vaccination administered across the continent as Omicron threat looms. As of the 2nd of December 2021, confirmed cases of COVID-19 from 55 African countries reach over 8.6 million, while over 149 million vaccination has been administered across the continent. The reported deaths in Africa reach over 223,000 and over 8 million people have recovered. South Africa has the most reported cases of over 2.9 million and 89,000 people have died. Other most affected countries are Tunisia, Libya, Ethiopia, Egypt, and Kenya. The numbers are compiled by the Center for System Science and Engineering at the Johns Hopkins University, using statistics from the World Health Organization and other international institutions, as well as the national and regional public health departments.
Ramaphosa hails Nigeria's solidarity following COVID-19 travel bans. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa expressed his gratitude to his Nigerian counterpart Muhammadu Buhari for the solidarity shown in the face of the travel bans imposed on South Africa following the emergence of the Omicron COVID-19 variant. Ramaphosa, who is on a four-nation visit to Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, and Senegal, said such actions sent strong messages of unity within the continent. He added that the leaders of the other three West African nations were unhappy with the travel bans imposed on South Africa and several other countries in the southern region. Whilst we respect the right of all countries to take the necessary precautionary measures to protect their citizens, we need to remember that this pandemic requires collaboration and sharing of expertise. According to Ramaphosa, his government's primary concern at the moment is the havoc the measures are wreaking on families, the travel and tourism industries, and business. It is our hope that the countries that have imposed these bans urgently reconsider their decisions.
Organized criminals in Africa adapt more effectively than legal entities amid COVID-19 pandemic. Organized crimes has increased across Africa during the COVID-19 pandemic and shows no sign of slowing, according to the 2021 Organized Crime Index released on the 25th of November. It is one of Africa's biggest security challenges, with more than 2/3 of Africans living in countries with high criminality and nearly 8% in states with acute vulnerability and low resilience. Organized organized crime got worse in 42 countries and on the continent and improved in just between 12 between 2019 and 2021. Africa has the second highest level of criminality globally after Asia. Organized crime causes vast social, economic, political, and environmental damage, from human trafficking for sexual exploitation to corruption, fraud, and money laundering and poaching of endangered wildlife. Africa experiences an annual loss of 86.6 billion US dollars in illicit financial flows linked to criminal activities. This is the equivalent to 3.7% of the continent's GDP, the report says.
World Mobile launches balloon-driven mobile network in Zanzibar. World Mobile has announced the launch of its unique hybrid mobile network, which is supported by low-altitude platform balloons in Zanzibar. According to World Mobile, this will be the first time that their balloons will be launched in Africa for commercial use, providing a more cost-effective way to provide digital connection to people compared to rolling out legacy internet infrastructure. Speaking on the launch, World Mobile CEO Mickey Watkins said they want to create a world where everyone can access affordable connectivity. The rollout will cover approximately 75% of Unguja Island and provide access to the wider digital economy, including communications, e-commerce, finance, healthcare, and education to the island's 896,000 people. World Mobile already has agreements in place with the Zanzibar government to provide connectivity for 300 schools, and a 4-step plan is in place to unlock Zanzibar's blue economy across marine industries.
29 killed after overloaded boat capsizes in Nigeria. An overloaded boat carrying dozens of passengers, mostly children aged 8 to 15, capsized late on Tuesday in northwest Nigeria's Kano State, a rescue agency spokesman said. We have recovered 29 bodies and rescued 7 passengers. The search of the remaining 13 bodies is ongoing. Saminu Abdullahi, spokesperson of Kano State's Fire Services, told AFP on Wednesday. Abdullahi said the boat was meant to ferry 12 adults, but the skipper expected such a number of children on board. Boat accidents are tragically common on Nigerian waterways, mostly due to overcrowding, bad weather, and lack of maintenance. The children from Badao village in Kano State were on their way to Bangwai, a town on the other side of the river, for a religious ceremony. Last month, 7 girls aged between 10 and 12 drowned in neighboring Jiwaga State when their boat capsized as well. In June, 13 people died in Sokoto State when a boat ferrying wedding guests capsized.
Truly horrific news. Now, in the last of our top stories, from Rwanda to Hollywood, Kigali style goes global. Matthew Rugamba knew his Rwandan fashion label had arrived when Junior Nyong'o, the brother of Oscar winner Lupita Nyong'o, attended the world's premiere of Black Panther in a 3-piece suit designed by him. Hours after the glitzy event in Los Angeles, the website for Rugamba's brand House of Teo exploded as inquiries flooded in from around the globe for his high-end creations. For so many years, we have been telling people our fashion is good, but sometimes you need moments like that to really take it to the next level, said Rugamba, who holds dual Rwandan and British nationality. What is Kigali style? It pops, but it's not flashy, according to Jean-Victor Brun, a 50-year-old Haitian American who came to Rwanda to develop projects in new technologies. Rwanda's fashion industry has also received a helping hand from the government, which in 2016 to 17 massively hiked import taxes on second-hand clothing, mainly from the US and Europe, to promote local manufacturers. Simultaneously, the government allowed designers to import fabric tax-free, giving the nascent industry a boost. Wonderful news.
I love it, from Rwanda to Hollywood.
Yes, don't you also feel like
From
you should get
Namibia
that?
to Hollywood.
There we go. This is still Africa. Good morning. We're actually going to be talking about the stylist for African heads of state just after the break. See you soon.
gonna cross that river Jordan. Yes, I am. I'm gonna leave my heart wide open. Yes, I am. Let me tell you, baby, yes, I am. Yes, I am. Oh, baby, yes, I am. Yes, I am. Yeah, baby, yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Happy Friday, and thank you very much for joining us on this beautiful Friday edition. Now, Monsieur Patel, the stylist of the African head of state, in an interview with UNESCO, shares more about the role fashion plays in promoting the culture of peace and his message to the Pan-African artistic community. Have a look.
Patéo, moi je suis un couturier, un créateur de mode, je vis à Abidjan, en Côte d'Ivoire. Moi je suis venu à la mode par nécessité. Je m'explique, hein, je suis arrivé à Abidjan, je suis un enfant du village. J'arrive à Abidjan, je n'ai pas de famille, donc il fallait faire quelque chose pour survivre. Donc ça m'a amené à ce qu'on appelle apprenti tailleur. À l'époque, c'était le métier le plus accessible pour des gens qui arrivent en ville, qui n'ont pas vraiment de famille ou qui n'ont pas un bagage, comme les gens disent, intellectuel ou qui n'ont pas de diplôme. Voilà, donc ça m'a amené justement à ce métier de couturier. Je pense que la mode, plus que toute autre chose, la mode joue beaucoup un rôle dans la couture de la paix. Dans la mesure où la mode, d'abord, c'est une beauté, et on fait beaucoup de rencontres, où ces rencontres réunissent beaucoup de jeunes gens de tous les pays, on va dire. La mode, c'est vraiment le secteur le plus rassembleur dans tout ce qu'on peut avoir comme métier. Vous imaginez des fois quand vous êtes dans des coulisses avec des mannequins, vous avez peut-être près de 100 mannequins pour porter des vêtements. Ensuite, vous avez un public et tout le monde est venu pour la cause de la mode. Et ça discute. Dans la mode, on n'a aucune difficulté à communiquer. Il faudrait déjà que les gens commencent par consommer ce qui est, on va dire, fabriqué en Afrique, ce qui est fait en Afrique. Parce que si les gens continuent d'aller s'habiller ailleurs, ou bien pour se vêtir, il faut aller, je ne sais pas, changer de continent. Pendant ce temps, on a des matières ici qu'on peut exploiter, on a des talents qu'on peut exploiter, on a aussi la structure qui peut être aussi mise en place pour encourager ceux qui pratiquent la mode. Donc, je pense que pour promouvoir le talent, il faut d'abord que les gens encouragent ceux qui pratiquent la mode. C'est-à-dire que la formation, le savoir-faire, il y a aussi que les responsables africains peuvent aussi, par leur action, promouvoir cette mode-là. Parce que ceux qui viennent à la mode, très souvent, il y a le talent. Mais le talent ne suffit pas. Il faut aussi les possibilités, les moyens de pouvoir vous installer, les moyens de pouvoir pratiquer cette mode-là, des moyens d'obtenir des matières, ou même les endroits propices pour travailler, des endroits où vous êtes à l'aise pour travailler. Donc, du coup, tout ça, c'est des éléments qui peuvent se rassembler pour promouvoir en tout cas cette mode-là et donner l'envie aux jeunes gens de pratiquer la mode. Parce qu'en fait, il ne faudra pas que les gens pensent que la mode, c'est vraiment, on vient à la mode parce que tout simplement, c'est la mode. Mais c'est un métier, un vrai métier. Moi, je pense que un tel événement d'envergure, je pense que l'implication de la culture est importante parce qu'en Afrique, sans la culture, il n'y a pas de paix, il n'y a pas d'entente, il n'y a pas de cohésion, il n'y a pas de rassemblement. Alors, chaque rassemblement, c'est la culture. Pour moi, la culture, c'est vraiment le fondament même de l'Afrique. Parce que si nous, les Africains, nous avons notre culture est partie, Nous ne vivons plus. Quand vous regardez la jeunesse, il faut éduquer la jeunesse par notre culture. Il faut éduquer les artistes par notre culture. Il faut éduquer tous ces créateurs de la mode par notre culture. Ça amènerait ces créateurs de mode à créer des modèles en tenant compte de l'Afrique, en tenant compte de notre culture, en tenant compte de nos couleurs, nos habitudes, nos ancêtres, ce que nos ancêtres ont fait. Voilà, donc je pense que la culture, c'est un tout. Et dans cette culture-là, on trouverait du tout, des danseurs, des créateurs de mode, des artistes, tout ce que vous voulez. Et donc, sans culture, il n'y a pas de rassemblement africain. Moi, je pense que la force même de l'Afrique viendra de sa culture. Et ça, c'est que tous ces artistes, tous ces créateurs de mode, tous ces danseurs, tout ce qui est mode, tout ce qui est imagination, je pense qu'il faut un rassemblement, il faut des rencontres, il faudrait aussi des événements comme celui qui va avoir lieu à Luanda, pour que ces artistes-là se rendent compte qu'on a un devoir. Notre devoir, c'est de dire que nous sommes africains. On ne va pas nous reconnaître autrement. On va nous reconnaître comme des Africains. Donc nous devons nous battre avec tout notre cœur, avec toute notre âme pour que cette Afrique-là ait une tête haute partout. Et ça passera par la mode, ça passera par la culture, ça passera par notre tradition. Voilà. Et essayons de soulever cette tradition-là, de moderniser cette tradition-là. C'est une force pour l'Afrique. Sinon, nous allons toujours regarder les autres faire. Alors que nous devrons aussi faire pour que les autres regardent. Ça, c'est mon devoir. Ça, c'est vraiment le message que je lance.
The Walvish Bay Corridor Group, through its wellness program, operates roadside, fixed and mobile wellness clinics in Zambezi, Erongo, Ohangwena, Omaheke, Oshodonjupa, and Commerce regions to support the efforts of the Health Ministry. These clinics are supported by various development partners like USAID, GIZ Global Fund, and the private sector. Since the outbreak of COVID-19 in Namibia in March last year, the group has been working to find solutions in addressing challenges associated with the movement of cargo in and across the borders of Namibia. Here's a video on that.
Hi everyone, my name is Elizabeth Joseph and this is another episode of the Africa Good Morning Show. I am a correspondent for the Namibia Media Holdings all the way in the southern part of Namibia in the Great Karas region. So today we're going to be talking about the Trans-Kalahari as well as the Walvish Bay corridor groups that have been setting up wellness clinics all over the country for the last couple of months for long distance truck drivers. The most recent case of this is the Walvish Bay Corridor Group that will be launching a wellness clinic a little bit outside of Keetmanshoop that will cater for long-distance truck drivers' needs when it comes to their health. This will be COVID testing, HIV testing, vaccinations, PrEP medication access, and the list is infinite. So the reason why the Walvish Bay Corridor Group has been setting up these clinics is to make sure that, number one, the truck drivers' needs are taken care of in terms of medical checkups and also just a place where they can have easy access to medication and healthcare. But also second, because these days truck drivers have been really reluctant when it comes to COVID-19 vaccinations. seemingly because the vaccination points just seem to be out of their routes, out of the direction of their routes. So they are more relaxed and more reluctant to take these COVID vaccinations. So that's the reason why the Corridor Group decided to set up wellness clinics that will make it easier for these truck drivers to go and do immediate tests. And recently we had the opportunity to speak to Edward Shivuta, who is the project manager, and he says that the project is spearheaded by a lot of private partners, including the GIZ, and the value of this container that they will be setting up in Keetmanshoop is just over 500,000 Namibian dollars, and this will include a fully furnished container as well as taking care of the needs of the nurses that will be employed there. So yes, this will be to the advantage of all truck drivers, just to have a place where they can go and they don't even have to wait long, and this won't hamper the jobs that they do. So we salute the truck drivers because we know that you run the risk of getting or contracting the COVID-19 virus as well as other deadly diseases, but we commend you, and the Wolfish Bay Corridor Group wants to say thank you for your service, and that they will continue to spearhead projects of this nature that can take care of your medical needs. Recently, the Namibian government has also called for strict monitoring and control of cross-border truck drivers to reduce the risk of inter-country COVID-19 transmission between South Africa and Namibia.
The Walvis Bay Corridor Group, in collaboration with the Ministry of Health and Social Services and with funding support from GIZ, is launching a container clinic or a mobile clinic in Keetmanshoop this Friday, the 3rd of December 2021. The aim of this clinic is to provide health and wellness services to the transport workers, specifically the long-distance truck drivers. With the financial support from the German government, GIZ, the Walvis Bay Corridor Group will then set up this clinic, and the services to be provided there will be the basic primary healthcare services, including HIV testing services, and also now with the COVID-19, we will be providing COVID-19 related services such as testing and vaccination and information dissemination. The value of the clinic is about 500,000. That includes the conversion of the clinic itself and also the operational costs for a period of 6 months. And thereafter, the expectation is that the industry will take over the project and continue operating and supporting the project in order to ensure sustainability. The project was basically started in 2020 when Namibia recorded its first case of COVID in March 13, 2020. And discussion then started around support for the Walvis Bay Corridor Group to enable it to expand our services to ensure that all these clinics set up along the transport corridors, because long-distance truck drivers cross borders and their risk of getting infected with COVID has been increased over time. Therefore, since 2020, we started the discussions, and GIZ has come on board to support us with 3 of these container clinics. One is already set up in Walvis Bay, while the other one is set up in Gobabis, and this one will be the latest one to be established in Keetmans. We're forever grateful to GIZ and also to the Ministry of Health and Social Services who's supplying us with all the medical supplies, and the project will benefit the transport operators.
That's some incredible work by the Walvish Bay Corridor Group. In fact, kudos to everybody who's trying to make sure that society, our communities are still well served in this difficult time. This is still Africa Good Morning. We woke up with a few rains here in Windhoek, but you might want to see what it looks like where you are by checking out the weather forecast up next.
Strike it gold and win 5,000 Namibian dollars in cash with Neo Paints. Simply buy Neo Paints products from the selected range and stand a chance to get one of 12 mystery buckets filled with gold paint. All 12 winners will each get 3 extra paint buckets equal to their purchase. One to replace the gold paint, the second to use on your project, and the third to give to a charity of their choice. One winner can score another 10,000 Namibian dollars by showing us your creative use of the golden paint. The best project wins the cash. Offer is valid from 27 September to 18 December at your favorite hardware store nationwide. Visit us at neopaints.com for more competition details and follow us on Facebook for weekly competition updates. Neo Paints, a coat of excellence.
Welcome back to Africa Good Morning. Now our show has screened this episode of WHO Science in 5 previously, but with the discovery of the Omicron COVID-19 variant, many people are asking what now? Can we get booster shots? Can we mix the vaccine, and how long before I can get the next shot? Many countries are using the approach of mixing vaccine doses from different manufacturers. What do we know about the safety and efficacy of this approach? What does the evidence tell us about using a fraction of the vaccine dose? Dr. Catherine O'Brien explains all of this in Science in 5 this week.
We're talking today about mixing vaccine doses and about fractional doses in Science in 5 today. Hello and welcome. I'm Vismita Gupta-Smith. We're talking to Dr. Catherine O'Brien. Welcome, Kate. Let's start with mixing doses from 2 different manufacturers. Many countries are taking this approach. What does the evidence say so far about the efficacy of this approach?
This is such an important question because there are over 17 vaccines that are being used around the world now, and most countries have more than one vaccine that's being used in the program. So what would be easiest for countries and for people is to say, you know, one COVID vaccine is like another, and I can have one dose from one product and a different dose from another product. But we don't actually have the evidence for most of that mixing and matching. We do have evidence on both the immunogenicity and the safety of combining an AstraZeneca vaccine dose with either of the mRNA products, the Pfizer, the Moderna products. And that evidence shows that you get a really good response from an immune perspective, and these are safe things to do. What we know is that you get a better response if you start with the AstraZeneca vaccine and then give the mRNA vaccine, but both approaches can work. Apart from that, we don't yet have the evidence on other mix and match regimens, but those trials are underway and we're eagerly awaiting to see the results of the trials.
Kate, speak to us a little more about the safety of this approach.
Yes, so we have had clinical trials done combining with a first dose, either AstraZeneca or an mRNA vaccine, and then the second dose, switching over to the other product. And what we know about the safety is that the amount of reaction in your arm and some of the general short-term reactions that people get, not feeling well or a low-grade fever, are generally speaking the same whether you mix and match or whether you use the same regimen. So we do have safety evidence on this, and that's an important attribute of anything that we would recommend is to be sure we've looked at the safety already.
Kate, we're also hearing about fractional doses. Tell us a little more about what that is and what do we know about it so far?
So the question of fractional doses is not unique to COVID vaccines. It also is a topic that we explore for other vaccines, but I'll speak specifically about this issue for COVID vaccines. The clinical trials that were done for these vaccines did research to figure out what the dose should be that people should receive, and those clinical trials have shown that when you're given those vaccines with those doses, we have very high protection against severe disease. But we know that in the future there may be some evidence that says that there may be a need for booster doses, or it may be possible for some of the vaccines that we have to reduce the dose and optimize the supply by doing that. The research to evaluate whether or not what's called a fractional dose, so a fraction of the usual dose, whether that's effective, that research is going on. We don't have the answer to that question yet, but it certainly is an area that we're looking at carefully, and we expect that in the future that evidence will tell us whether or not, if boosters are needed, whether we should use the full dose that you receive as your primary doses, or whether we should be giving a part of that dose, a fraction of that dose. I'll give you just two other vaccines where this kind of research has helped us in optimizing the vaccine supply and the program. This is the kind of question and kind of research that's been done for polio vaccines and for yellow fever vaccines and others. So this is not a new area of research or a new question that we've never explored with vaccines before. This is something that we do for many vaccines to really optimize the amount of supply that we have and the best immune response with the greatest degree of safety. And so waiting for that research to mature and to become available for now, we don't recommend fractional doses, but we're looking forward to that research coming forward.
And as more evidence is generated, we will keep you updated. Until next time then, stay safe, stay healthy, and stick with science.
Thank you for staying with Africa Good Morning. It's time for us to dive into your economic news stories. And we start off in Mozambique. Tongaat Hulett to invest in ethanol production. The South African company Tongaat Hulett, the major shareholder in Shinavane and Mafambise sugar mills in the Mozambican provinces of Maputo and Sofala, respectively, has announced that it will build an industrial production plant capable of making 20 million liters of ethanol. The factory will be built in Shinavane and will use as its raw material molasses, which is a byproduct of sugar refining. However, according to the Maputo Daily, Noticais, the current level of molasses production is not high enough to meet demand, with a deficit of about 17,000 tons. Tongaat Hulett holds 85% of the shares in the Mafambise company and 88% in Shinavane. The rest of the shares are held by the Mozambican state through the Institute for Management of State Holdings.
Global airlines prepare for Omicron. Airlines are bracing for a fresh round of volatility due to the Omicron variant of COVID-19 that could force them to adjust schedules and destination at short notice and rely more on domestic markets where possible, analysts says. Many travelers have already booked trips for Christmas period, a peak season for airlines, but there are growing industry concerns over the pause in future bookings and further delays to the already slow recovery in business travel. Omicron's impact will vary by country and region due to the diverse nature of global airlines as well as their business models. Airlines in countries with large, strong domestic markets like the United States, China, Russia, are better shielded from the more volatile nature of international travels. And analysis by the UBS show U.S. carriers have not yet changed their schedule capacity, which is running at 87% of the 2019 levels in December and is expected to reach 92% of pre-COVID-19 capacity in January.
Ending gas financing for Africa will be a fatal blow, says Senegal. Plans by some nations to end the financing of gas exploration will prove a fatal cost for several emerging African economies, Senegal President Macky Sall said at the start of the China-Africa Summit in Dakar on Monday. Senegal, like several other African countries, is sitting on billions of cubic meters of gas reserves and is expected to become a major gas producer in the region, which will not only boost power supply but potentially spur double-digit economic growth from 2023. At a time when several African countries are preparing to exploit their significant gas resources, the ending of funding for the gas sector under the pretext that gas is a fossil energy would bear a fatal cost to our emerging economies, Sall said.
Renewable energy transition requires investors. Namibia has the world's second highest solar irradiation regime, high wind power potential, and potential for geothermal and bioenergy development. The potential for green electricity production in Namibia is many times the country's domestic electricity consumption. These remarks were made by the Minds at Energy Tom Alwendo at the Renewable Energy Business Summit in Dubai. According to Alwendo, countries around the world, including Namibia, are united in transitioning to a future based on renewable energy, as there is a concern of devastating impact of fossil fuel energy on the environment. Namibia recognizes renewable energy as a solution to climate change. The government has committed to the transition from fossil fuel energy as features are highlighted in the Economic Recovery Plan that was recently launched by the President Hage Geingob as part of the recovery plan. Namibia has a goal to be a green hydrogen hub on the African continent. As to the global market for green hydrogen, there is now a global consensus that green hydrogen is the fuel for the future. According to a preliminary study by the World Bank with regards to green hydrogen market, Namibia could produce highly competitive green hydrogen with limited local demand. Exports will be key to our green hydrogen strategy, the minister pointed out.
That brings us to the end of our economic news stories. Up next, economic indicators.
Win instant cash this spring with Top Score Instant. To enter, buy any new pack of Top Score Instant 1 kg or 500 grams from any store countrywide and stand a chance to win one of 2 grand prizes of 20,000 Namibian dollars or one of 12 weekly prizes of 5,000 Namibian dollars. SMS Instant to 24442. Competition ends 30 November 2021. T's and C's apply. Top Score Instant, a proud product of Namib Mills.
Thank you for staying with Africa. Good morning. Right now, it's time for us to get our sports news stories from Ari Hochad. Ari, I know what happened yesterday with Arsenal. I'm sure you have to tell us about it. I just want you to care about my emotions while you're at it. But I understand you're going to start off with Formula One, so do take it away.
Yes, morning, Ashwin. I'll get to the football second. Yes, indeed. It's a busy sporting weekend, a very exciting one. I think many people looking forward to the Formula One Grand Prix. I'll start with that. 2 races left, and it's still a big battle between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. Those are the cars going to dive into the first corner. That's on Sunday. It's a street race. It's Saudi Arabia, the first time that they have a street race there. It is in the coastal city of Jeddah, and it is all to race for at the moment. Max Verstappen leading by just 8 points. You get 25 points for a win, 17 for second. So with 2 races to go, it's all to race for. Max Verstappen can win this weekend if something happens to Lewis Hamilton. He can win the championship, so to speak, if Lewis Hamilton finishes lower than 5th and he managed to win. There are many permutations, but at the moment it looks like it's going to be all to race for the last one, Abu Dhabi, next week. So 2 weekends in a row, big races. Big news coming from there is that Lewis Hamilton did make a statement. He said that he's not really comfortable in racing in Saudi Arabia, and that is because of the human rights record of Saudi Arabia. But he is there, and he's going to wear his helmet with the rainbow colors in the race on Sunday. On to the football. I have to get to that, Ashwin. Last night, big game. It was Manchester United hosting Arsenal, and Manchester United with the caretaker coach now of Michael Carrick, former player, but it was his last game as well. He announced he's not going to continue because there's a new coach in Ralph Rangnick for 6 months. And Manchester United won 3-2. And the big news was that Ronaldo became the player with the first to reach 800 first-class or top-flight goals. And he scored 2 of the 3 goals last night. And again, there's going to be Premier League action this weekend. The top 3 teams playing away at the weekend. Chelsea, they're leading on 33 points. They're playing away to West Ham. Liverpool is playing away to Wolverhampton Wolves. And Manchester City, they're playing away to Watford. So at the moment, it's tight on the top, 33, 32, 31 points between the 3. And Man United also playing at home against Crystal Palace. On to some rugby news. There's some rugby news, at least for South African teams. They couldn't play the European teams that went back. But there's derby games in the United Championship in the rugby. At least the Bulls, they're playing tonight. Those are the 2 teams playing tonight already. 7 p.m. kickoff. It is the Sharks playing against the Bulls. That's in Durban. The Sharks selected the strong team. National captain Siya Kolisi and Lukambi they're going to play in that game tonight. And then tomorrow in Cape Town, it is the Storm. And that game will be played at the Cape Town Stadium. And that kickoff is tomorrow at 5. Also by the split box, the South African Sevens team won the Dubai Sevens, and there's another Dubai Sevens tournament taking place this weekend. They're starting to this morning already. They've already started. South Africa play Japan and Great Britain pool, and Kenya also have some tough games they're facing, amongst others USA this morning. So that is also in Dubai. And then on to some golf news. There's some big golf happening in South Africa, unfortunately, with this new variant and the COVID-19 challenges. The South African Open, which is going to highlight the pinnacle of the South African tournament, is they're still being played, but all the European players have gone home, and it's not the Coast European Tour. The 18th at City, the Gary Player Country Club, and Christian, the defending champion, they make 2 under in this first round. The leaders after the first is Oliver Becker and Niels Pieter on 7 under par. They played 65, 7 under par. And some other African players as well. Mateja Madalitsu of that, he also did well. He was 2 under par. He played 70 in his round. And also, just quickly, the Euro World Challenge is being played in the Bahamas, and Rory McIlroy is leading there. 20 players playing there, 4 top 20 in the world. And just to finish off real quickly, also some tennis news from China is that the WTA, the women's WTA, announced that they immediately suspend all tournaments in China, tennis tournaments in China, and that's got to do with Peng Chaoyu, the 35-year-old Chinese player that's been accused by a top Chinese official of sexual assault, or she has said that he was guilty, but there was concerns that she disappeared for a few weeks, and there's doubt over safety and if she's free. The WTA say nothing in China just to protect Peng Shuai. That's all the sporting news. Hope you have a broadcasting weekend. Monday results. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Ari, for bringing us the sports news updates. After the break, your headlines. Thank you for staying with Africa Good Morning. Here are the headlines from today's top stories. Ugandan troops cross into Congo to widen anti-ADF offensive. Sudan's Hamdok would quit if post-coup deal not implemented. Ethiopian government says it retook string of towns from Tigray forces. Mozambique concerted action required to fight terrorism. Mozambique again, Tongaat led to invest in ethanol production. In Formula One racing, Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen battle it out in the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Those have been our stories.
Thank you for joining us on this edition of Africa Good Morning. We welcome your remarks regarding our show. You can email them to us. Our email is agm_2censworth@nmh.com.na. We are also on Facebook and Twitter. That's at Africa Good Morning. We do have a website. It's called One Up To. Please do visit up. Get vaccinated, wear your mask, and avoid unnecessary public gatherings. Happy Friday.
Swera Jaganaka.